When we speak of the dark side of kindness, we must first turn our gaze inward, to the quiet, cluttered, and often tormented landscape within the kind person themselves. To be a person predisposed to kindness is to live with a peculiar and profound duality. A heart that is a source of genuine light for others can also be a cavern of shadows for its owner. This is not about the manipulative or the performative, but about the truly, reflexively kind individual and the heavy, hidden costs of their own nature. Their darkness is not one of malice, but of a virtue turned inward into a weapon against the self. For the genuinely kind person, empathy is not a switch but a constant, open channel. They don't just understand your pain, on a neurological and emotional level, they feel it. This profound connection is their gift, but it is also their primary curse. The soul is a sponge. The kind person walks through the world without an emotional skin. The frustration of the barista, the subtle disappointment in a friend's voice, the unspoken anxiety of a partner, all of it is absorbed. Their internal state becomes a murky reflection of the emotional weather of everyone around them. They come home from a simple day out not just tired, but emotionally saturated, heavy with a weight that is not their own. This constant absorption makes it difficult to locate their own feelings. Where do they end and the other person begin? The boundaries are so porous that their very identity becomes a question mark, lost in the sea of others' needs and moods. The paralysis of hypervigilance. This deep empathy creates a state of constant, low-grade alarm. The kind person is always scanning, always monitoring the emotional field around them for signs of distress, discomfort, or need. Is someone left out of the conversation? Did their joke land poorly? Does their companion seem bored or unhappy? This hypervigilance is an exhausting full-time job that runs in the background of every social interaction. It prevents them from ever being truly present and relaxed, because a part of their psyche is always on duty, tasked with the impossible mission of ensuring everyone else's emotional comfort. It is a prison of their own perception, where their freedom is traded for the illusion of control over others' happiness, the crucible of repressed needs and silent resentment. Perhaps the most corrosive internal conflict for the kind person is the war between their instinct to give and their own fundamental human needs, the language they cannot speak. The word, no, feels like a physical obstruction in their throat. To deny a request, to set a boundary, feels not like self-care but like a profound moral failure. It registers in their psyche as an act of cruelty. So, they say yes. They say yes to the extra project, to the draining friend, to the favor they cannot afford. Each yes is a small betrayal of the self, a quiet cancellation of their own desires. Over time, their own needs don't just go unmet, they become foreign, illegitimate, even shameful. To want something for oneself starts to feel like a grotesque selfishness. The kind person lives in a state of perpetual self-neglect, watching their own vitality drain away to fuel the warmth they provide for others. The ledger of the heart, and here is where the true darkness blooms, resentment. It is the kind person's dirty secret, the emotion they are least allowed to feel and yet are most prone to cultivating. Because the world does not operate on their unspoken rules, they give and give, believing in a karmic justice that will see their kindness returned, only to find that most people take the warmth and move on, oblivious to the cost. The kind person keeps a silent, meticulous ledger in their heart, a list of all they have sacrificed, all the sleep lost, all the dreams deferred. But this ledger is a torture device, for they can never present the bill. To do so would be to expose the selfish truth that they expected something in return, shattering their identity as the selfless one. So the resentment boils inside, a toxic soup of anger, self-pity, and confusion. They are angry at others for not noticing, but they are furious at themselves for being angry. This internal conflict is a form of psychological self-flagellation, the identity trap. The cage of a good reputation. The kind person's external reputation becomes an internal prison. They are cast in a role, and the expectation to perform it is a weight they can never put down. The fear of inauthenticity. They are the nice one, the rock, the therapist friend. This identity is a cage. What happens when they don't feel kind? What happens when they are seething with rage, or consumed by envy, or simply want to be frivolous and irresponsible? These unacceptable emotions must be hidden, stuffed down beneath a placid smile. They live in terror of being found out, of the world discovering that they are not the saint they are perceived to be, but a flawed, complex, and sometimes dark human being. This creates a profound sense of loneliness, as they feel they can only be loved for their kindness, not for their whole, messy self. The magnet for emotional vampires. The kind person's light inevitably attracts those who thrive on darkness, the chronically needy, the emotional vampires. These individuals sense a limitless well of compassion and proceed to drain it. The kind person, bound by their own code, finds it impossible to turn these people away. They become an emotional dumping ground, listening to the same problems, absorbing the same dramas, and offering the same comfort, all while their own energy is siphoned away. They feel used, but they also feel responsible. If I don't listen to them, who will? This martyrdom is a slow suicide of the spirit, where their kindness makes them a target for the very toxicity that erodes them. The darkness of a kind person is a vast, intricate, and deeply private landscape. It is the pain of empathy without boundaries, the silent scream of repressed needs, the corrosive acid of unexpressed resentment, and the profound loneliness of being loved for a mask. Their greatest battle is not with a cruel world, but with the tyrannical expectations their own kindness has created. To find peace, they must learn the radical, subversive act of turning their compassion inward, to set boundaries, to speak their needs, to acknowledge their shadow, and to understand that a kindness that includes the self is not a weaker kindness, but a truer, more sustainable, and ultimately more powerful one. Their journey is not toward becoming less kind, but toward becoming whole, and in that wholeness, their light can finally shine without burning them to ashes. Every time a kind person prioritizes another's need over their own, a small, almost imperceptible part of their identity is sanded away. It begins with small concessions, watching the movie their partner chooses, eating at the restaurant their friend prefers, listening instead of speaking. But these are not mere compromises, they are, in their mind, defaults. They are so practiced in the art of deference that their own preferences become foggy, distant memories. They lose their taste for life. When asked what they want to do, they genuinely do not know. The internal compass that points toward their own joy has rusted from disuse. This is not humility, it is a quiet, ongoing process of self-annihilation. They become a ghost in their own life, facilitating the vivid experiences of others while their own world fades to gray. The crisis of desensitization, this is one of the kind person's greatest fears, that they will become numb. After years of absorbing the traumas, anxieties, and dramas of others, a protective callus begins to form over the heart. They notice a friend is crying and feel a flicker of impatience instead of immediate compassion. They hear a tale of woe and their first internal response is a weary, not again. This horrifies them. It feels like a betrayal of their core identity. They may then overcorrect, plunging into acts of extreme kindness to prove to themselves that they still feel, which only accelerates the burnout. This cycle, of numbness, guilt, and overcompensation, leads them to a terrifying question: if I am not kind, then who am I? The potential answer, a hollow, exhausted shell, is a specter that haunts them. The codependency of false peace. They become architects of a fragile reality, built to avoid conflict at all costs. They will not tell their friend that their partner is cheating. They will not tell their colleague that their work is subpar. They will not tell their sibling that their behavior is destructive. They tell themselves this is to protect the other person, but deep down, it is to protect the fragile ecosystem of peace they have cultivated. They become an unwitting accomplice in other people's delusions. This creates a codependent bond where the other person's stability is predicated on the kind person's continued silence. The kind person then bears the immense, solitary weight of the truth, a secret that grows heavier and more corrosive with time. They are trapped, knowing that to speak is to shatter the world they helped build, but to remain silent is to live in a house of cards, waiting for a wind they know must eventually come. The betrayal of authentic connection. By refusing to offer difficult truths, the kind person robs their relationships of the opportunity for depth and real intimacy. True connection is forged in the fires of honest confrontation and mutual growth. By always being nice, they create relationships that are pleasant but shallow, built on a foundation of what is left unsaid. The other person is never given the chance to see their own reflection, to grow from feedback, or to love the kind person in their full, flawed humanity. The kind person becomes a mirror that only reflects back approval, and in doing so, they make themselves alone in a crowd of people who do not truly know them. The burden of perceived omnipotence. The kind person, through their constant rescuing and helping, subtly begins to believe that they are indispensable. If I don't do it, it won't get done right. If I'm not there to hold them together, they will fall apart. This is a God complex disguised as altruism. It places them at the center of a universe where they are the sole source of stability and comfort. This is an incredibly arrogant and exhausting position to maintain, for it fundamentally denies the agency, resilience, and capability of others. It is a way of controlling the world through kindness, of ensuring that they remain the most needed, and therefore, the most valuable, person in the room. The darkness here is the realization that their selflessness is, in fact, a sophisticated engine for ego. The refusal to honor others' struggles. By constantly intervening, the kind person denies others the sacred right to their own struggle. Pain, failure, and hardship are not just misfortunes, they are the primary catalysts for human strength, wisdom, and character. When the kind person constantly cushions the blows of life, they are like a parent who never lets their child skin a knee. They create adults who are emotionally brittle and lacking in resilience. Their kindness, in this light, is an act of profound disrespect. It communicates a silent belief that the other person is not strong enough to handle their own life. This is the ultimate contradiction. In their quest to be good, they prevent the growth that would allow others to become strong, whole, and truly good themselves.